Welcome to Mind Prosperity, everybody. It's so good to have you guys here. We hope and believe that you are growing and learning, and emotionally we hope you are doing well through using our material and learning. It's such a great privilege to speak to you guys again today. So today we're going to speak about what is toxic positivity. Specifically, what is the difference between toxic positivity and positive self-talk? Because I just want to say, I do believe positive self-talk is a very good thing. I do think positive self-talk is a very important thing. I do believe positive articulation, positive affirmation, speaking good words and being a positive person is a very important thing in life. But that being said, there is something such as toxic positivity. And to explain what toxic positivity is, I'm going to try to explain it in this way. Imagine you break something, like say for instance you break your arm. And I know this is maybe a vivid explanation or an example that I'm using, but let's just go with it. Imagine you break your arm and instead of going to the hospital to get operated, you just put a band-aid or something on it just to cover it up. So toxic positivity is when you use positive affirmations or positive self-talk as a cover up for something that you don't want to deal with. So speaking positive, being positive is a very important thing, but don't use it to neglect dealing with things that's happening on the inside of you. We spoke about the subconscious mind and the conscious mind a lot, and just to give you a brief explanation, the subconscious is that part of you that runs 90 to 95% of your life. It has to do with your deep thoughts, with your intuition, with your imagination, with your emotion and your core beliefs. Some things that is habitual to you is in your subconscious. Your conscious mind has to do with what you see around you, what you experience with your senses right now. Toxic positivity is when you're positive on a conscious level, meaning the part of you that runs 5 to 10% of your life, but subconsciously you're not healed and subconsciously you are actually not a positive person. So you're just using positive affirmation and positive words to cover up what you don't want to deal with. Now, you can use this in your own life or you can use it with other people. With other people, you will use cliches that you think might make them feel better, but it's not helping. Dr. Tracy Marks said toxic positivity is neglecting your true emotions and replacing them with false positive affirmations. Speaking positive and being a positive person is not about neglecting the emotions that you don't want to deal with. Being a positive person also has to do with acknowledging, looking at, and bringing out some of the negative things that you have to deal with. So I'm going to answer this question now. Why toxic positivity is so bad, or why toxic positivity can be so harmful. You never talk about negative emotions where you are in toxic positivity. You believe talking about your negative emotions is a bad thing, it's a wrong thing, or some people might even believe, talking about my negative emotions might draw negative things to me or might attract negative things to me. And if you don't talk about certain things, you don't deal with them. And I'm not saying you should talk to every single person and you should complain, but I am saying you should get somebody that you can talk to deal with negative things. Now, a person who's in toxic positivity mode simply won't do this. A person who has toxic positivity, they feel guilty or condemned about having negative emotions, because when they have negative emotions, they feel like there's something wrong with them. And like I said, they just use toxicity or toxic positivity to cover that. Toxic positivity also leads people to a place where they don't want to deal with negative emotions. And if you don't deal with something, it's going to stay there. That is why toxic positivity is so bad. So now we're going to look at some toxic positivity cliches. These are things that you might say to other people that are going through a negative time or that are going through a bad time. Somebody will come to you with upsetting news. Somebody will be in a bad emotional state. And if you want to know more about this, go check out our video, Beat the Bad Emotional Wolf. That's also out there. And this is about not taking other people's emotions seriously. So people with toxic positivity will be very quick to use certain cliches when other people come to them and they feel emotional. Cliches will be, they will say things like every cloud has a silver lining, and people come to you, because they want comfort, they want empathy, they maybe want advice, and throwing cliches out like that is another patch that you put on. Or people might just say, everything will work out for the good. And we do believe that. We do believe everything will work out for the good, but we also have to acknowledge at that moment everything might not be good. People might need your support, people might need your help. Or people will say something like, everything happens for a reason. And that's just again saying, what, I don't really know what to say, but there might be a reason behind this. Maybe someday we will find out what it is. So these are some cliches people use as patches because they don't want to deal with the negative side. And when I speak about this, we look at how toxic positivity affects relationships. So toxic positivity is not just something you use on yourself. Toxic positivity can be something that you use on other people as well. So let's look a bit how that looks like when somebody comes to you and they're in an emotional state and you use toxic positivity. When you use toxic positivity, people feel like they cannot relate to you because every single time they speak to you, you make them feel bad for going through something. You make them feel bad for feeling emotional, and you're just like, don't speak negative, don't say negative things, don't feel negative, you're attracting negative things to you, and you feel like that. And people come to a place where they're like, listen, but you are really unrelatable. Nobody can relate to you. And if people cannot relate to you, it affects your relationship. And by that, I'm also not saying, be this person that everybody can just dump all their negative things on you and you're just the person that attracts negative people. I am saying we must have that balance of people can speak to me, and when they speak to me, I can help them to deal with the emotions. I can have empathy, but I can also encourage them with positive words to get to a positive place. And also, toxic positivity affects relationships in a way that people feel they cannot be honest with you. Have you ever met people in your life where you really felt like, I just went through something, I just did something, I really don't want this person to find out because I don't feel like I can be honest with this person because, again, there's toxic positivity. And the other thing that I want to say about how it affects your relationships is when you have toxic positivity, people feel like you don't have empathy. Empathy is really a deal breaker when it comes to relationships because one of the core things that's important for you to have good relationships is empathy. Empathy doesn't mean I feel sorry for you. Empathy means I can put myself in your situation and I can feel as you do. So that is how toxic positivity can affect relationships. Before I continue, I just want to mention again, I do sessions on emotional intelligence, mindset, emotional health. I do these sessions with groups, in businesses, with families, with individuals. So if you want to know more, please email me and I will make contact with you. My email address will be on the screen. You can visit our website at www.mindprosperity.co.za. And very exciting news, we have sessions that we are doing on Mindset Matters 2023. So if you want to know more about that or make a booking for 2023, please also contact us via the email address. Also want to encourage you to like, to subscribe, leave a comment and share this message to other people. As a final thing, I want us to end with and look at what is good positivity, because I do want us to be positive people. I do want us to have positive affirmations. I do want us to speak positively, because the words that you continually speak and the words that you continually believe will eventually go into your subconscious mind. And like we said earlier, your subconscious mind rules 90 to 95% of your life. So speaking positive, having positive affirmations is very important. Toxic positivity is just at that place where you use it as a cover up to not deal with negative things that you need to deal with or emotions that you need to deal with. So let's look at what is good positivity. Good positivity is when you acknowledge the negative feeling. So to acknowledge I feel emotional, to acknowledge I feel bad about a situation is not a negative thing. It's just saying I want to get myself to a positive place, and I know in order to get myself to a positive place, I have to acknowledge this. Good positivity is also allowing you to deal with the negative situation. Toxic positivity doesn't allow you to deal with the negative situation. Good positivity says, I believe I'm going to get to a good place in my life. I believe I'm going to get to a good place in my thinking, in my emotions, in my finances, in my relationships. But in order to get there, I have to deal with the negative things. When you have good positivity, you also don't allow yourself to live in the negative feeling, meaning you can acknowledge it, you can deal with it. But a good positivity is saying, I'm not going to stay in this negative state forever. By acknowledging it, by talking about it, by bringing it out, I'm also saying this can help me to get to a good positive place in my life. When you have good positivity, you also show empathy and validation. You show empathy and validation to your own emotions. You show empathy and validation to other people's emotions. Empathy and validation says, I care, this is valid, but also I'm going to use this to get myself to a good place. And that brings me to the final thing that I want to say. All of these aspects will help you to grow to good positivity. That is, in general, I have a positive mindset. I believe in a positive outcome. I believe in a good outcome. But in order to get to the good outcome, I have to deal and acknowledge some of the bad things. There's nothing wrong with me when I acknowledge the bad things. There's nothing wrong with me when I speak about the bad things. There's nothing wrong with me when I acknowledge it, deal with it, grow through it, because this is necessary to get myself to a good place. Thank you so much for watching this video from Mind Prosperity. We love you, and we will see you soon again. Goodbye.